Right. All right. I will slowly start and just admit whoever still pops in. I know there's, most of the cohort is here, so that's most important for now. So you might have noticed I'm not Eric because Eric is away at the moment, getting married and having a big celebration. So I'm taking over to host this session as part of Story and Code. So for those who don't know me or haven't seen me before, I am Nadia. I am the founder of AIxDESIGN and leading the Story and Code project, in which we're basically exploring like AI and animation, or how does AI show up in various ways in like storytelling at large, and more specifically animation practice. So we've been having a lot of fun doing that and hosting the artist residency and doing some research and hosting these public workshops, which this is actually the last of. So the program is not ending, but the public workshops are sort of wrapping up after this. And I'm really happy that for our last workshop, we have Amritha, who has been on my little list of people whose AI animation work I think is really interesting. So I'm really happy that we figured out a way to get you as part of the program. I will leave her to introduce herself, but we'll start with basically an artist talk. So Amritha will walk us through some of her work, and then we'll do a hands-on workshop afterwards in which we'll actually make stuff. This really cool walking animation, which you may or may not have seen on the channels. But yeah, I'm really excited. If you need anything or have any questions, just pop them in the chat and I'll be there. And yeah, I think that's all the public service announcements. And I'll hand it over to Amritha to get started.
Hi, everybody. So I'm just gonna dive into it because we have a lot to cover actually. So the first thing is, hi guys, welcome to this workshop. So just an introduction about me. I am Amritha Warrier. I did engineering, not anything related to animation at all. And then I went to become the guy who fixes servers and routers from a distance, like literally just from a distance. I would fix the servers and routers. And that was my job for like 2 years. And then I decided to do animation film because it was crazy because I always liked animation, but I didn't do it for so long. And finally, I decided, like, what the heck, let me just follow my passion. And I went into animation. I started studying animation. And then I joined a company again, which was like an ed tech company. I didn't like it, so I quit again. And ever since then, I've been a freelancer and I've been doing my own thing and my own projects. And my inspiration comes from Dragon Ball Z, which was something that I watched as a kid. And I think like that was the main driving force for me to do animation in the future. A little bit about me is I have 16,100 emails. I'm a bit chaotic in nature. I don't know. I just like accumulating till I kind of like lose my shit. I love tomatoes and I'm a fan of winter. I'm not a big fan of summer. Summer doesn't suit me at all. But yeah, those are the few hardcore truths about me. So I'm just gonna move into my like film life. I had made 3 animation films, student films, and each like in a span of around like 2 years apart. I think I was always like attracted to abstract storytelling more than the linear way of storytelling. I was already always like fascinated by the abstract nature. If you guys know Norman McLaren, he was kind of like, well, he was way before Walt Disney. So his kind of storytelling was much more, well, I used to like that a lot. I found that more, capturing. So initially I did my first movie is called A Blurred Line. But yeah, it was kind of like a sort of like animation on sleep paralysis. I used to get a lot of anxiety back then and I did a movie on that. And well, it was okay. Like a lot of people didn't get it, but it was fine. And then the second movie I made is called The Crow's Nest. It's based on basically the journey of a little girl who was from a very sort of like, who had a native language, and then she learned English, and then she forgot her native language. So it's been like a journey on how kind of language shapes your thinking, and how when she started becoming westernized, the question is, will she go back to her native roots, because now that she's westernized, things are different. And my third movie was called Ghost Electrons, which is completely different from the last two. It's basically a very philosophical take on how we interpret things to be, how we interpret things which are objective, which are not very objective. So basically, I took a topic like physics, and I said that, yeah, physics is not that objective. I mean, right? Physics keeps changing like every year. People keep disproving each other every second. So it's kind of like that. So basically, we are not that objective. Like whatever we say, maths and everything, it's not that objective. So I was trying to like kind of go through this way of storytelling. My second movie was actually this, like a lot of people loved it compared to my third, although I liked my third movie way more than my second movie. But that's how it is. So based on my second movie, the thing I think that I liked is I used an old light box to make the entire movie. And a light box is basically, it's a box which has a light, and you kind of like animate it on paper with the help of a light box. So I kind of like started animating these alphabets, which are basically, it's called Malayalam. Malayalam is the mother tongue that I speak. And these alphabets, I started animating them as characters. So you can see like my grandmother is actually written in that language, grandmother. And my grandfather is also written in that language. And he had a cane, so he used to walk with the cane. So I started like animating things around me with the help of the typography of this language, and how I was able to sort of like say that language sort of shapes your thinking, where you're from. And I used an old Canon camera to take pictures on my light box, and then I put together in a software, and then I made like the entire movie through that. So this was a very good experiment that I did. And this is the Ghost Electron trailer. um, just let me know if the sound, if there's a problem with sound.
No, no, not working for me. That's all right. Maybe just share it and then,
Is it working? I'm sorry.
no, that's all right. That's
Okay.
just the Zoom room classic. All good. Maybe you can share the links later and then we can watch them with sound.
Yeah, okay. Sure. So anyway, that was my trailer. So the point, and then I went to, like, I submitted to a lot of film festivals, and I got to like directly talk to the audience, and they kind of came to me and said how they felt about my movie, which was a very interesting experience for me, because for me, I need to understand, like, are they getting it, because it's quite abstract and it was a little weird. So I needed to see if whatever is in my head was I able to communicate to the audience. But I did get like a very good response, and a lot of people, especially like I said, like the second movie, a lot of people came up to me and said, "Hey, I have been in this situation. I know how you're feeling, and I've been feeling the same." And it was kind of nice to actually understand the whole thing like holistically. And then, so Ghost Electrons, I had to crowdfund them because while mid movie, I kind of like lost my budget. Like I kind of like exhausted my budget on making it. So I got into this platform called Wishberry, which is very similar to Kickstarter. And then I crowdfunded my movie because and I had like a lot of backers, and I somehow was able to make it. And thanks to these guys, I was able to finish my movie. And like sometimes you need to like get out there and do your own thing. It's just how it sometimes it works. You can't just like wonder like, oh, I'm never going to finish it, but you need to find out opportunities where you should. And then fast forward to my NFT life, my career in NFT. So initially, when in 2021 in April, I heard this huge thing happening, this thing called NFT, and everybody was selling artwork for like $1 million and whatnot. And initially, I was thinking, okay, should I get into this? But then decided, okay, maybe let's just try. So when I got into it, of course, Twitter is the way that you sell your NFTs, because you meet your collectors through Twitter. And so when I got into Twitter and I started like making NFTs and stuff, the first NFT that I sent, that I put up was the space looking NFT, because there was a huge space craze back in 2021. Like everybody was making astronauts and spaceships, and they were like getting sold for like such a big amount of money. So I thought, okay, let me try that, and it didn't work at all. In fact, I burned it because it was like I felt like, okay, this is just silly. Like, what am I doing? And then I decided, you know what, let me just make my own content and put it out there, because at the end of the day, I need to make something that I like, and not just like get into a trend and everything. I mean, it's great, but it's just not my cup of tea. So then I put up this animation called You Kiss Ass, and it became like super viral in Twitter, and everybody was like talking about it. Everybody was sharing about it. And this one doesn't have sound, so it's okay. And it's a little graphic, but it's basically like you're climbing up, kissing asses. But yeah, so I was kind of like frustrated with my office life, because there was a lot of politics, and one of the probably the reason why I quit it. So I kind of made like sort of like a joke on it, but a lot of people found it very interesting, because a lot of people felt it. And then I was like, okay, now that I have a momentum in NFT, let me push the boundaries of animation itself, right? Because I'm getting a platform where I can actually do my own work. So why not like push the limits of how much I can do. So then I started like getting into VR and things, and I started putting animation in VR. And as you can see, like this entire thing was made in like a 3D sort of environment, where I put like 2D things. It's a bedroom, and it's kind of like a memory of my old bedroom. And like if you and you can even zoom in and zoom out, but yeah, in the slide it's not allowing me to do that. But overall, like an idea of how much I can put it in a 3D space. And I tried using Oculus on it, and it was quite nice. So I sold this as well as an NFT. Then I think I was always attracted to 20th century philosophy, because I started reading a lot at that point. And Noam Chomsky's media control actually kind of got to me. Although he's a very controversial figure right now, but back in the day, he did make a lot of good points. So one of them was basically the idea of propaganda, how the manufacturing happens, how you really don't know who is in control of a situation. You always assume that it's this person, but there's always someone on top of them. So I decided to make a content for a pawn. So it's again without sound. So yeah. So it basically like you think you're the king, but you're a pawn for someone else. So it just keeps going. So this kind of like inspired me to make this artwork. Was very interesting back in the day. So the thing about NFT is, of course, you have a community, and then you also start collecting other NFTs, and you also like start making sort of like a style which is your own. And it is also kind of like something that people like your work, people like the way you're putting your ideas out there. So I found a very niche kind of crowd that actually liked my work. And through NFTs also, I did find a lot of amazing artists that I was able to collaborate in future. Like a lot of my work were in collaboration with someone else. So I had like a good time with all of this. And a lot of exhibitions were taken place because of NFTs, and I met a lot of interesting people and their artistic career, and it was quite interesting. So this part of NFTs I really did like. Although it is not a very money making thing that I got in, like I was trying to look for, but I really liked this whole other aspect of the NFT where I was able to see like, okay, there is, again, it's all about checking whether you have an audience, right? And you do, no matter what you do, you always end up having someone who likes your work. So one of the other big things that happened in NFT is this thing called what is your dream for 2030. And during this time, so what happened was 50 artists from all over the world were asked to make 500 artworks. And so this organization went to, I think, around 10,000 schools around the world. And they collected a lot of dreams from each kid. So what would their dream be in 2030? And we got a lot of prompts regarding, as in a lot of like, small things that whatever they had like in a big Excel sheet. And we were like, so we could have like, we could pick anything that we liked and then we could illustrate on that. So each of the artists got like 10 artworks, and they were displayed like all over the world, and it was like an amazing thing that happened. And the best thing about it was that it was also like exhibited in International Space Station. And this is the only footage that I got, because NASA doesn't share any footages because they are scared that the technology will get stolen. So that's why this is the only thing that I got. But yeah, so it was a very surreal experience, because I remember last year around 15th April, I was like watching the space launch, just because that space capsule like had our artworks in like a small pen drive. But it was like really cool, and it was very exciting at that point of time. Yeah, so this is basically a lot of Twitter love that I get. So this, I know like Twitter is a very toxic place, and it's very like, it's super cutthroat. And but sometimes I do get like some kind of wishes like, hey, like your work is amazing, like this is my favorite NFT and things like that. So I see that, okay, like, again, sort of like checking my audience kind of a thing. Then comes the AI rage, which happened in August for me in 2022. And I was like trying to, sort of like get into that as well. I was trying to see like what kind of artworks I could make. Well, like, okay, this is all great, but I want to animate because I am more excited about animation in general. Then I started like doing a lot of experiments through animation. And one of them is, so these are like three panels that I did. Basically, it's just in motion. The characters were drawn in 2D, but the backgrounds and their transitions were all done in AI. So I was just trying to like sort of see how I could, use AI and then maybe 2D and some 3D, like everything together. I know it sounds like crazy, but I was just trying to like put everything together and see what's gonna happen. And one of them was this spider animation that I made. I kind of liked it, and I sold it as NFTs as well. So, but this is also again using 3D and then using Stable Diffusion, and the spider is done in 2D. And although there's no sound, but these are the two, again, one of these two experiments that I did, which a lot of people really liked. One is called Queen of Spades, crippling anxiety, and King of Spades, numbing depression. So it's basically how the Queen of Spades in this era gets anxiety because of the cell phone. So kind of like that narrative. And this is King of Spades. Yeah, so this is called this King of Spades. Again, take on how the King of Spades in this era would go under depression and how he would handle depression and things like that. So this is again done with 2D and AI together, where AI is the reverse of it. So like the 2D one that I've animated was on the top and AI the bottom. Yeah, so this is kind of like a very interesting and a very important part of my life right now. So I have been getting into a lot of Marshall McLuhan sort of like books, and one of the main thing was the book called Understanding Media. And for me, when I started like I had taken this course for based on 20th century philosophy during COVID, and during that time, like I had learned a lot on based on things like that, and I was attracted to Marshall McLuhan's kind of writing. And it's very funny because he kind of predicted the world, how he sort of like predicted how AI would come back in 1940s. And he was a very controversial figure, but he's becoming very relevant as the day and the age goes by. And so I had made this animation. Yeah, so I had made this animation. Basically, it's called You're a Square. And it's an idea on how much, if you like, the growth is not really a growth. You always are bounded by some constraints of a human psyche, because you can't really grow beyond what you know. And sort of like that's how this world works, and how we see each other, and then it's sort of like we make content which was already a previous content. So it's like based on intertextuality. It's called intertextuality. it's basically seeing the previous content and making the new content. So we're actually just seeing each other and doing it. So what is really growth? Sort of like kind of a question here that I was trying to portray. And so I remember that I had a talk with Andrew McLuhan, who is actually the grandson of Marshall McLuhan, and he really liked this work, and we started talking, and he offered me a scholarship to join his course in the institute is called McLuhan Institute in Canada. And I've been doing this course every Thursday. It's a night class, and it ends June end. But it's been like one hell of a ride, because I've been doing a lot of assignments, a lot of thesis, and I'm able to like understand Marshall McLuhan's writing so much better. And like he used to say, medium is the message. And he used to say that medium is basically, and the idea of medium is an extension of a humankind. Like, for example, the helmet is an extension of your head, and the wheel is an extension of your feet. So everything that we make is an extension of ourselves. So that's what he calls the medium. And we always get confused saying, thinking the medium is content, but it's not. It's medium is the message. So it's not the content that is the king, it's the medium. And it's very interesting, because when I feel like this currently is giving me a lot of content for me to understand and figure out how I want to make my artworks in the future. So it's a lot of good content for me for my upcoming projects. So I right now I'm going through this McLuhan phase, but this has been the most like exciting time for me, because especially with Andrew and the kind of classes that I'm going through, it has been very, very enlightening. So also, I'm also a visiting faculty. I do take experimental animation courses, and I do have like, so there was this international school exchange program where we had like institutes from different parts of the world. And the funny thing was, everybody, so they're all from different region, right? There was one from China, there was one like in India and things like that. So all around the world, and they had to send each other some recorded audio clip. And they had to send each other recorded audio clip, and they kind of had to decipher how they would make visuals based on these audio clips. And so I was a guide for these kind of projects, and it was very exciting, because you actually think that it's a lot of gibberish and things, but it was very well animated, and it was a lot of fun to talk to and get this done from the students. But all of this is the students' work. They are amazing, and I was just like a guide to them. But it was a very interesting course that I was a part of. So the problem with having so many projects is that your link tree is going to be forever and forever. Like it has a lot of links, and it's very difficult for me to present my work because there's too many random things, and it's very difficult for me to sort of like put everything together and show, hey, this is what I do, or this is what I do, because there's just too many random things. And the only thing that's connected is the fact that it's an animation. That's it. And but yeah, this I face this problem pretty much. So a little bit talking about my upcoming projects. I don't know, like a bit of everything maybe. So right now I'm trying to do AR. I was trying to put AI and AR out there. One of the experiments that I did was these masks. You can access them on my Instagram. So basically, these are AI masks that I made AR out of it, and I got a really good response. Like a lot of people downloaded, and a lot of people were like checking this out, and it was kind of fun. So I want to make my artwork sort of interactive at this point. So I was trying to do these different kinds of thing with AI, and the next project that I'm doing is with Wonder Mash, and it's basically sort of like idea on speculative birth futures. So its idea of how birth would be different, maybe 100 years from now. And so I'm sort of like making an animated graphic novel. I'm really trying to break the normal convention of how a graphic novel should be. I'm really trying to sort of I don't know, I'm trying an experiment, honestly. And I'm trying to sort of use AI here to sort of break the stereotypes and convention. Like, a comic book has to be in a certain way, right? But I'm trying to see, if I'm animating it, like how much can I break it and how much can people read it and things like that. So a lot of times I do my own experiments, but that I think that's what keeps me going. And just recently I had a workshop in Master University, basically on Stable Diffusion, and the idea of how to prompt. So this idea of how you would prompt to get a certain results, and how if you put canonized artist versus local artist, what kind of images that you get. And at the same time, for example, if you have different words in a single prompt, how would the AI take the second word or the fourth word, and how it would interpret what it needs to do. So sort of like a small like workshop on that. And yeah, so my whole, I think, USP is that I do a lot of experiments, and hopefully I'll take like a lot of workshops in the future. But this is the kind of the path that I was thinking of going. So I put this one particular thing of Marshall McLuhan that I find very interesting. So one of the core tenet that he said is, it is instructive to follow the embryonic stage of any growth, for during this period, old development, it is much misunderstood, whether it be printing or motor car or TV. So the point is that we never understand tech. We assume its role in the society. So what he says is, whenever we are building something, we never understand what its role is supposed to be. We always assume that the new tech is supposed to be the same role as the previous tech. So that way we'll never understand anything, right? Because even the previous tech was also assumed to be role of its previous tech. And the thing about technology is that whenever it's introduced into a society, um, we think all the time, there is always this very interesting things that human beings do, is that we start using for entertainment. And when we first use for entertainment, and eventually when you think that this is the role it's supposed to be, big corporate and ad agencies dictate its use. But is it really that? Like, just because they dictate how the tech needs to be used or how it needs to be designed, do we have to follow that? Because they themselves are just doing patterns that has been done before. So I found this a very interesting paragraph. So I put this on the PPT, but I think it's like very important to understand that we should always never like assume like what they are doing is the right thing. We should always go on our own kind of AI or our own understanding of tech. So what I kind of derived from this is, not to follow any trends, because let's be honest, trends keep changing. They always do. It's never a thing. So when you create something, it'll automatically become a trend. So it's all about how what people like and things like that. And you need to define your own animation generations, right? So this is how you would actually be more precise, and you would understand yourself and the tech. I think you would understand the tech so much better if you go sort of on your own path. So one of the experiments, again, like following all these things, I was trying to, try doing some AI kind of experiments. So I was kind of like putting myself as like dummy things, and they're all basically different videos, but I was trying to make sure how I can interact with them, you know. So the cat is a different video, I am like a different video, and how you can try to interact with them. At the same time, it looks like a part of something. So I was trying that kind of an experiment. And this is a bigger version of it. Yeah. So it's basically again the concept of everybody is doing their own thing, and how you can make it seem like an integral whole, you know. So sort of like the cat here, I was trying to make the cat a protagonist. So wherever the cat follows its gaze, it's sort of like there's something happening there. So I was trying to make the cat sort of the main protagonist here. And yeah, so this is kind of like how I was trying to put everything together, sort of like everywhere, everything at one place, but also like making sure it's like sort of interactive and it's an integral thing and all that. But yeah, so this has been my talk, and the next is the workshop. And I think we can take like a 5 minutes break, right?
Yes, we can definitely do 5-minute break. And if anybody has any pressing questions, maybe very short Q&A, like we can combine Q&A. So if you really need water or a stretch, go. And if you have a pressing question, then stay and ask. But thanks, Amrita, that was really interesting. I have a question. If you don't need a 3-minute break. In light of like this sort of Marshall McLuhan, like the readings, and you know, you're digging deeper into that, as well as like your experience as an animator and an artist and like maybe experimentalist at first, how, if at all, is creating animations with AI for you different than doing it in, say, like the traditional way? Whether that's like in different, you know, creative outcomes, or like a different process, or just like feels different, or it's different for the viewer, like however you want to answer that. But yeah, is there anything you feel is really different or unique to working with AI as like a material in animation?
Yeah, so in I think what I really liked is basically it's kind of taking me back to Norman McLaren, the way how he started animation to be abstract and completely like, you know, it's just a feeling and not really like showing something like a protagonist and a thing. So AI is kind of making me feel like back how it was in 1940s. So kind of like the whole abstract output that comes out of AI. And I think I sort of like, I was always attracted to that. So it's kind of like embracing that weird abstractness, like how towards it, you know. But initially when I started animation, obviously so when you're animating, you have like a storyboard, and then you have pre-prod, and then you have production. And so weirdly with AI, I don't need any of that. It's just like doing it. So I kind of like that in AI.
Nice. Thanks for sharing. Does anyone else have a question for now? No. Then I think we'll do like really quick break, like two-minute break, and then we'll get into the workshop.
Yeah.
It seems. All right, whenever you're ready, Amrita, we can start.
Yeah. Yeah, so okay. Workshop time. Okay, so this workshop is basically learning to amalgamate. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Basically, the idea is to put everything in the same pot, the same cooking pot. So here I'm kind of using an analogy, I know, but it's sort of like I'm using Runway as the cooking pot, because Runway or Adobe, After Effects, Premiere Pro, anything, basically it's anything with a timeline, and sort of like mixing videos, YouTube content, images, Stable Diffusion outputs, and like putting everything together. And so when you put like everything together, obviously you need like spices and binding agents to make the things like, tasty. So that'll obviously be like, most your idea of layering and composition and the kind of effects that you put in each of these videos, so that they all kind of look like, they belong to the same, the same pot. So this is how you would learn to amalgamate. What we will do today is a sort of this. So this is, you have like, you have basically four components. One is you have a road. The second is these assets that keep passing by. You have a background and you have an object walking. So this theme was basically the things that I like, that I used to have back as a kid, and how I use Stable Diffusion to sort of like, you know, uh, give this weird kind of effects, but at the same time I'm passing by. So this is what we will do today. So the idea of layering is you have a background, you have an object walking, you have a road, and you have an asset. So right now we'll just concentrate on one asset. Of course, when you learn this, you can keep adding as many assets as you want. You can make it a bigger and better and things like that. But for now, we will just do these four basic things, and we'll try to like understand how composition works. So we have an asset folder that has a lot of, yeah, I think this folder that we have, right? Uh, did Can you share that on the chat, Nadia?
Yeah, I'll share it.
Okay. So we have an asset folder, and you have all of these things, sort of like you have different folders for that. And you have different folder for background, object walking, road not taken, and an asset. So what we're going to do is we're going to maybe try to take a theme of something. So if you have a background, and an object walking, what kind of asset would they pass by, or what kind of road they would take, and just sort of getting an idea of things like how you want to put everything together. uh, Let me just open the asset folder. I think that'll be easier. Yeah. So you have these roads that I have dropped, these kind of PNG files, and you have assets. Of course, they're all random. These assets are all random. You can choose whatever you like. And some of these backgrounds that I've taken, also one of three of which is drawn, one is prompted, and we have an object walking. And so after the theme, right now what we're going to do is we're going to select a background. So there is three ways you can do this. One, you can draw your own background. Second, you can prompt your own background. You can use Midjourney. You can use any other softwares that you can create free images and sort of prompt a background. This background that I prompted was basically to show how my things are very chaotic. It's not very organized, so it's a little messy. So I try to make a prompt based on that. Or you can like download a nice image from online. That is also allowed. Like these three different ways of doing it. So I'll give you 10 minutes right now, so you can just quickly get these backgrounds. You can draw, prompt, or collect them. If you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next one because we need to like get this going. So after hopefully everybody is back because of the black screens. I don't know who's here or who's not here. So once you've done with the background, we're going to go to the object walking scenario. So here I'm going to like sort of anyway you for now you can just see how to do this in the future. For now you can select it from the folder, and just a minute. Yeah, so there are like three ways that you can do this kind of work. One is you basically are on a treadmill, and you just need to make sure that your hands do not clash the treadmill while you're walking on the treadmill, and the camera is static. So in Runway, you sort of edit this part out and you only keep the person walking. But this is one way that you can do this for yourself, because if you want to be inside that video, like you are the one walking, then this would be the perfect way, the most preferred way of taking a video of yourself walking. And the other way to do this is basically walk with the camera is in the motion along with you. But I think this is a little bit more difficult because you kind of like you kind of go off center once in a while, right? So if this is a straight line, you kind of go off. And so this is obviously a second. The third one, which I did, is definitely most time consuming, and I obviously do not ask you to do that. But for now, since this is the video that we are going to use eventually, so it's just a shot of me walking. But the problem is I had to capture the just maybe the middle of it, like from here to here, and I had to keep putting that in a loop again and again and again to make it seem like I'm walking in the center. It is definitely the most time consuming one. I do not think anybody should do that, or even if you want to do it, it's going to be a little more challenging. So I think basically if you have a gym next to you, just go over there and use the treadmill and ask your friend to like shoot uh, just like 30 seconds or 40 seconds of you on the treadmill. That would be better. I do have sort of like a doc on how to shoot it on the treadmill, which I'll share in the chat. So you can just access this and see how to do it. It's not that difficult. Just take a friend with you, go to a gym, and then just shoot it in your mobile phone. Because anyway, Runway and these AI apps are designed for like really shaky kind of videos, so that you don't have to worry about, the kind of shooting with the camera properly. You can just do it with your mobile phone. Yeah, so now we're going to talk a little bit about Creative Commons, the idea of CC0. So this Creative Commons is basically a sort of, I would say, a community which kind of shares their rights. You can do whatever you want with the content that is under Creative Commons. So the best part is that it's no copyright. The person who associated a work with this deed is waiving off all of her rights, his or her rights worldwide under the copyright law. So since I'm an animator, I generally for sound, I don't produce my own sound. I do sound mixing, but I don't produce my own sound. So sometimes I have to go through CC0 to see which I can take and which I cannot take. It's a very thin line because, of course, like you shouldn't be charged for like copyright. Like, hey, you just like, especially when you're like selling for your artworks for money, it's very important to read what comes under the copyright, what you can share, what you can publicly because some things are only for modify and distribute, they are not for sale. So things like that, there are different kinds of law for copyright. The best thing to go for is CC0. It's the best because you can do anything, you can share, you can even mint, and you can do like make money out of it and things like that. So it's basically like the waiving of every rights, right? So the best way to do this, although a lot of people don't know it, but in YouTube as well, you get CC0. And the quick way of showing it is basically I'll just go through my YouTube and I go to home, and then I type man walking, maybe man walking, something like that. And you need to go to filters, and here comes Creative Commons. So when you click on that, basically all these videos you can use for free. And that's how a lot of people don't know this that YouTube has Creative Commons, but this is how you do it. And sometimes I go to the extra step of mailing or emailing someone with that content and saying, hey, I'm going to use this, is this okay? And a lot of time people just replied back like, dude, it's under Creative Commons, just use it. So yeah. So anyway, anything under Creative Commons is definitely you can use it. And so this is, I have a small doc on different kinds of Creative Commons. This kind of like essential, but you can read through it. It's a very good like it's, you'll get an idea about all the licensing. It's like a good way of seeing what you can do or cannot do. Anyway, moving the second one, I think object walking, you can definitely take whatever object walking you want from the drive. So for now, I think let's take a live action footage. You can either take this person or you can take me. This would be a little difficult because right now there's a lot of things happening, but I think either these two would do right now. And take an object walking. And once you get familiar by using the content, then you can definitely use other things. And if you see in all of these, I have given sort of CCO. For example, my content, I've given CCO. Basically, I am waiving off rights for you guys to use, share, and also make money. So whatever, basically I take a lot of CCO, so it's kind of like giving back sort of whatever that, under comes under this thing. And I have made a couple of animated ones as well. So you can also use this once you get used to runway software. And so this is also again under CC0. You can use it, you can do whatever you want with it. So for now, I think let's just choose live action, and then eventually when you get used to the software, we'll start doing animated things. So that'll be much more fun. And so once you selected your object walking, let's select the road. And the road, I don't think anybody needs to draw this as of now. As you can see, it's very simple. It's just a block. It's just a block basically for the object to walk on, and we will keep sort of prompting the road what kind of a road that we want from this dummy picture. So it all depends on the prompts. But for now, let's just select one of them. I suggest that you select the most plain looking one, because it will, for software learning, initially it'll be a little frustrating if there's too many things happening. So maybe the black would be a best choice, and the others you can do once you get used to the software. Okay, now asset. You can, of course, asset, again, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. This is your asset. So you can either prompt, download, or draw as you can, as you like, whatever you wish for. And downloading, again, prompting. So when you're prompting, you just need to be sure when you're prompting or when you're downloading or whatever, just make sure that your asset has a white background. It's generally white or green, because it's generally easier to key off the white, because it's the runway software kind of like helps much more when it's a plain solid background. So to give you a little bit more insight, for example, if I'm making assets like this, I generally pick something which, so I wouldn't pick this, right? Although it's clean, it's neat and everything, but it has a white stick. And while using Stable Diffusion, it kind of gets mixed with the background and you'll be just stuck with this. So what I would use is probably this, which is like clear defined colors against a white background. So make sure while you're selecting object, there is not much white in it so that it doesn't get too mixed up. For example, this one is a mime, and I realize that mime is white and black, so it's going to be very difficult to get the object out. So instead, I used green screen, and I chose this because this has more defined, foreground and background. So this again, if you use green screen and you key it out, this would be like saved, and that's how you can select your asset. I would give you 10 minutes right now to do this. Of course, any questions that you have, please let me know. Yeah, I think we can just move on. So, yeah. So just make sure you have 4 things ready, sort of like your asset, your object walking, the road, and your background. So these 4 things, and we are going to use Stable Diffusion on 3 of them. So now we're going to learn how to amalgamate. Yes, I said it right, I think. So the first thing, what we're going to do here is we are going to concentrate how to make AI in one particular direction. So we are going to concentrate on making generation in one direction. So in Stable Diffusion, you can see there's x-axis and y-axis, which I'll show you later. And when you want to go forward in one direction, it's usually minus, and the reverse is plus. And if you keep giving -5, -10, it's how much, how much they would show. Like basically, it's spacing between each of those generation. So if you put -2, you will have generations that will come slowly and slowly and slowly. And if you put -10, you will have more faster generations. So for now, what we are going to do is get on to Google Collab, right? And we'll start using Stable Diffusion. So just make sure for people who are using it first time, you will need a Hugging Face ID. I think Stable Diffusion, if you have the module downloaded before March 2023, I think it's easier to use Google Collab Stable Diffusion. But after March, I think they started using the Hugging Face if you don't have the module downloaded. But if you had it before March of this year, you will be able to use it without using Hugging Face. And yeah, so first thing we're going to do is sort of like go through Stable Diffusion. Just give me a minute. Yeah, I hope you can see this. Yeah. And so first thing we're going to do is connect. And we're going to start enabling Stable Diffusion one by one. So make sure you don't skip a line of code because it needs all of the code to run. So don't miss any of this.
Hey, Amrita, could you please share the link to the collab on chat? I'm trying to grab it from the slides, but my computer is struggling. So
Okay. Yeah. Let me just check where it is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So make sure you click everything one by one. You can't skip any of them because it is a line of code. It's like a block of code. It needs to like enable each block. And if anybody is getting stuck with Hugging Face ID, I can just share mine. It's fine. So you can just like start using my hugging face. It's very easy to make an account in Hugging Face. It just takes like 2 minutes. But for now, you can just use mine if you're getting stuck in the Hugging Face, if the collab is prompting you to put in the Hugging Face ID or key. It's going to take a while, so don't worry about it. For the Google Drive path variable, do we need to update with the name of a folder where we loaded the image? No, not yet. So they will kind of make a repository with AI images. We'll be doing this much later when we come towards the end of the code. Okay, select and load model. This is going to take some time. Yep. So it's downloaded, and next we'll go to animation settings. So here we're going to click on 2D. So for the background, we're going to have maximum frames around 250. Okay. So this should give around 20 seconds of animation. Zoom, we are going to make it 1 because we are not going to zoom. So if the zoom is 1, it means it's not going to zoom, but 1 plus something, it's going to keep zooming into it. Translation X is going to be -8 because we're going to use one variable which is an x-axis, and like I said, minus basically means moving forward, so we're going to use -8 for now. And Y is 0, Z is 0, the rest of it is fine, it's all 0 0. So you don't have to worry about this, because if you click on 2D perspective, it's going to start giving a 2D perspective of the whole image, but we're not going to do that right now. And this you don't have to worry 3D, because if you enable it on 3D, the animation mode as 3D, then you need to worry about the depth warping. We have no video input as of now, so it's fine. And then now we're going to go towards the prompt. So the image that I am going to select is basically, I think I'm going to pick maybe this one. I think I'm going to select this image. So when I look at this image, I'm like, okay, there's a girl with an umbrella with some things behind her. And so you need to understand that once you enable animation prompt, when you enable this, the block of code will go to animation prompt. It will skip this code. So you don't have to worry about this. So for now, let's sort of put a prompt. So I'm going to say something like a girl turning into a robot or something, and maybe more umbrellas turning into mushroom. Then maybe, so this is my 0th prompt, right? So at 0, it starts giving this prompt. And so since it's 250 frames, I think I can also add one more prompt in the mid, maybe around like 150. I want a robot turning into jellyfish, and mushroom turning into buildings. So here you can also add a style of artist that you like. So I'm just going to add this artist style that I like. We'll just take half, like just get an inspiration from there. Dan Mumford, his work is actually kind of nice. It's a very illustrated kind of artwork. So I just chose his art style. You can also write things like, I don't know, if you want like Dan Mumford illustrated, also you want a little, photorealistic or something, you want a little 3D, maybe you can say the first prompt as 3D, so you probably mostly like you'll get some kind of a 3D kind of a render. So because the computer takes the first prompt very seriously, like it goes like one in a straight line. So if you put 3D as your first word, it generally takes a very 3D kind of a render. So, and then, so once this is done, you just click on this in animation, make sure you click on that first, and then the prompts. And then I'm going to put this background image. Right, so I'm going to put this background image here. It says, hey, warning, and this and that. So here is a small trick that I want to share with you guys. So right now we're going to work in low resolution images because we need to make a lot of frames. So how Google Collab works is if it's going to produce a lot of frames in a very high resolution, it's going to kind of stop at midway and say, okay, you need to buy Pro or you need to do this. So for now, we're going to see if it's low res. I'm just going to share my image, and I think I'm just going to share my entire desktop. Just a minute. Yeah. So right now I've put, when you click on this, you see files, you can just put it there. But the background that I chose is this. Now what you need to do is go to the properties, right? And look at details and see that, okay, this is around 697, 873, which is not bad. But right now, let's try to put it under 500 resolution, right? Because we need to produce a lot of images. So what you need to do is sort of like take a calculator, figure out the aspect ratio. So how do you figure out the aspect ratio? Basically divide it, 873 divided by 697, and you get like an aspect ratio of 1.25. Okay, so now if you sort of multiply it with, I don't know, 400, you get 501. So 400 into 501 is like the new aspect ratio. So as long as you maintain that aspect ratio, your image will just be low resolution, like the dimension will be smaller, but you'll still have the image intact. So we're going to put 400 and 501. under load settings with height, we're going to do this. And then we're going to come below batch settings. So this is where you need to put a folder for what name you want to put a folder for all the AI generations that you get from Stable Diffusion. So for now, I'm going to write it as background AI design, right? And then we are going to use initial image. So you need to click on this. And then strength is a very interesting thing for those who don't know. If you have strength 1, it means that it's going to be exactly as the original image. If your strength is maybe 0.5, it's like half of the original image and half of the prompt. And the lower the strength, the more the prompt will take over, and that's how it works. So for now, we don't want the prompt to take over too much because you kind of like what you drew, right? You don't want to like distort too much. So I'm going to just stick to 0.7. So the prompt weight won't be much. It'll be more of the background weight. And then init image. So this is the repository. You need to replace the init image here. So you have a background here. Just copy path, paste this here. Okay. So this is how you have your init image, and make sure your seed behavior is random. Because ether is for prompts. If you have too many prompts, you use ether. Fixed is for video input, and random is when you're working on one image. So right now we're going to put it on random. And I think this is good to go. I don't know. If we're getting an error, we're getting an error. So yeah.
Amrita, can we, I'm getting requests from the chat, but also definitely struggling to keep up. Can we just start from the settings and walk through it once again?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Because
sure.
I think I'm still, like I have half the settings because I keep clicking between the windows and like typing, but I don't think yet I have all of them. Can we just walk through from the beginning?
Sure, no problem. Okay, let's do this one more time, like Spider-Man. Anyway, so we have animation. Animation mode can be, so there are a bunch of modes. We're going to select 2D, and the maximum frame is going to be 250 frames, and the rest just leave border, angle 0, zoom 1, translation x -8, because we're going towards the x-axis only, right? And y-axis 0, z-axis 0, and the rest of it is 0. Since you've not clicked this, just keep it like that. It's not going to work. It's not going to affect the whole thing. Coherence, it's fine. Depth warping, it doesn't work because we have enabled 2D, not 3D. Video input, all of this not required. Interpolation not required. Resume animation not required. So the next one that you go to is prompts. And in prompts, you can, the reason I've given 2 prompts is because, well, I'm going to generate till 250 frames. So I obviously, like, I don't want the same thing to be continuing. So maybe around midway, I would like to change the prompt a bit, make it a little, interesting. So I have put what exactly I want. And I've also chose an artist style that maybe some of the prompt weight can add into, because his work is very illustrative. So I put the artist style, and don't change trending on ArtStation. Let it be there, because the Stable Diffusion needs to take a sort of like a reference point. So this is a reference point, and trending on ArtStation is a reference point. So it's going to take from there. So let's just keep that the way it is. And the next one is
sorry, Amrita, I'm just getting questions. So can we just let us ask, can do the numbers of animation prompts relate to the frame number? Which I know they do, but can you explain how they do?
Do the numbers and animation prompt relate to the frame number? Yeah, they do. So right now, because on the 0th prompt, I am going to sort of generate this, and on 150th prompt, I'm going to change it. So it's the number is exactly at the frame. So wherever I want to change. Does that answer your question?
I think so. And is it okay? Because here you sort of have 2 prompts, right? It's like 3D girl turning into a robot, and then umbrella turning into a mushroom. it feels like those are two different prompts, right? Or you want them to be like sequential? Is that you can just do
So,
that, or what? What's like a best practice on that?
okay, so right now I had a girl with an umbrella. So there
Mm-hmm.
is like, so there is a sort of a foreground and a background in my image,
Yeah.
right? And so I decided to change the girl as well as the umbrella. So first I gave the girl to be my main priority, and then the umbrella, and then the artist, and whatever trending on ArtStation needs to be there. So this is kind of the sequence that I'm following. So if you want the umbrella to be given priority, then you put the umbrella here and
Yeah.
put the girl later. So sort of like how sequentially, because once the Stable Diffusion reads the code, it kind of goes from here to here. So
Mhm.
that's how it reads. And sometimes it omits the second one because of the prompt weight. If you're given like very little prompt weight, then it might just stick to only this. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like that.
Nice.
And
Shall
yeah.
we take 2 minutes just for everyone to come up with their prompts?
Yes,
Just to
definitely.
put them there. And could you once more just screen out, go up to the settings? I'm just gonna take a screenshot because my notebook has remembered settings from before, and so it's all messed up. Yes. I
Yeah,
will
yeah,
just take a screenshot from this, so then you don't have to keep going back, and I can just take them one by one.
yeah.
Great. Thanks. Can
So
you
I
do?
I kind of put it in here, I think in the slide. I was
Yeah,
going to
but
like put this
yeah,
here, but
the
yeah.
problem is that my notebook has remembered settings from before. So there's lots of stuff that's not the default. And
Okay.
I have no idea what's what anymore.
Yeah,
So that's why I just need to go literally one by one. And can you scroll a bit down to like the depth warping stuff?
yes.
Because we don't need, okay, yeah. Okay, great. Is it okay if I just add these into the slides just so everyone has the screenshots?
Oh, yes. That's a good idea.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then we can all, yeah, come up with our prompts. And then I think we're good. But let me know if there's any other questions before we continue about the settings so far.
Yeah, please ask questions because it's like a blank screen for me. So unless like people ask me, I don't know what's happening. So definitely like switch on your mic and ask a question. Even mid talking, it's fine because questions need to be addressed. You're gonna definitely get confused.
Hi, I had a question
Yeah.
about the art prompts because I found like even with using Stable Diffusion, it didn't it got really confused when I'd have like an art style and then several different prompts. So I didn't know like if you tend to follow a type of structure when it comes to prompts at all.
Oh, okay. So I generally follow a structure, but you can always do random. That's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's up to you. What you want. So even if you don't want to put the second prompt, that's okay. Just whatever you want your picture to be turned into, just like how you see and write it, you can just write it like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I had a question about in this the prompt section. Why doesn't the prompts like a beautiful forest by blah, 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 blah? Why doesn't that matter that it's still what was written before?
Oh, you mean the beautiful forest by Ash Brown and things like that?
Yeah, why is it still that versus like Xing it out or something?
Oh, okay. Because I just wanted to sort of give my own prompts, although you can choose the prompts that Stable Diffusion gave you. That's not a problem. But yeah, I sort of like wanted my own images and my own creations, right? So I want to sort of direct the Stable Diffusion what I really want. So that's why I just got rid of all the prompts. And like in this it doesn't matter because you chose animation, so it's going to come here, it's going to skip this code.
Oh, it's going to skip that code. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to skip this. So if you notice, it says animation mode none, batches on list of prompts. Animation mode 2D uses animation prompts keyframe. So the minute you give animation mode 2D, it kind of like skips this and comes here. And if it is none, it takes these prompts. So just let me know when to move on, and I'll explain run again.
I think, yes, move on, but slow.
So when we're happy with our prompt, we kind of run the different sections. So the setting one, and then the prompt one. We kind of run the code.
Yeah, you can run the code, but just be careful of your width and height, how you want your image to be, because you need to maintain the dimension of your image exact. Or
Okay.
yeah, I can explain that part if you want, like how you can reduce the image and still maintain it intact.
Okay, I think that for me, on my side, that was clear. As for the
Okay,
other parts.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I can explain the run thing again for people who want to, because I think this part is a little confusing when it comes to the width and height. It's nothing. It's just I need to get an aspect ratio, the ratio that videos have, right? 16:9 or 4:3. So every image also has an aspect ratio. So I just need to get the aspect ratio. And in order to make sure that the image still contains within the same aspect ratio, while having a lot of frames that you're going to generate, you can lower your image dimension, keep the aspect ratio intact, and you can make a lot of frames. So what Collab does is, Collab doesn't recognize this. It kind of sees how many hours you spent on Stable Diffusion, and then it'll start calculating. But the thing is, if you lower your the dimension, like if you lower this, it kind of generates faster. So you will end up having 20 seconds of animation kind of fast. So that's a good thing. So I think I'll just explain the run part again. So in run, you have load settings. You don't have to worry about these things. Now, when it comes to image settings, like I said, if you have an image, you just go to the properties, go to details, and see what is your aspect ratio of your image. And then what you do is you just simply divide, and then you get an aspect ratio, which is, you can divide this by that or this by that, it doesn't matter. So you get something like 1.25 something of an aspect ratio, and then you put a number. For example, I put a number like 400, and then I get 501. So obviously the 501 will be the bigger one, and this will be 400. So I have a dimension with the same aspect ratio, and I'm going to feed that to Stable Diffusion. And so hence it's 400 and 501. And sampling settings, you don't have to worry about it for now. It's just a setting for sampling. It's not going to give you a result anyway. Save and display settings, not required. Prompt settings, not required. The next one is batch settings. So in batch, you just have to give a batch name, right? So whatever batch name you want to identify it, you give them that. I think by default it is ether, but keep it on random. The difference is ether is basically you have multiple prompts. For example, I make, I don't know, 20 prompts, like 0, 1, 2, 3. And I want only prompts to take over and not like my image. So you put ether that time. And fixed is for video input. When you need to give video input to the Stable Diffusion, you go to fixed. But right now we're giving only an image, so it's better to be at random. And then strength is how much strength of the prompt weightage on the image. So one gives you the, well, one basically means zero prompt. It's going to be the image that you basically loaded. And the lower strength means that you'll get, like, the prompt weightage is higher. I know it sounds a little weird, but this is how it is. So right now I gave 0.7, so which means that I want 0.7, 70% of my original image and 30% of the prompt weightage. So that's how you see it. And then you put an initial image called content. You need to put the image in this repository, copy path, and then you get this, right? So it's like this. So you just put an initial image and then you just run it, and then you see where it takes you, sort of. So shall I run it now? Is that okay?
Can I ask a quick question for the path? Were you putting the background into a folder in Google Drive?
Yeah. So what path are you talking about? This one?
Yeah, the image, yeah.
Oh no, this path is the path from Stable Diffusion. It's not in Google Drive. It would take it, yeah, it would take it eventually when you run it, but right now it's just a temporary thing, and hence you get a warning saying that it's in Stable Diffusion, it's not going to save. So you just click OK anyway. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to run it now just to see how the prompts work. So just click on this. So you have something like this, something weird. Girl, it's definitely taken the girl and the robot together. As you can see, oh yeah.
Where with this init image, you said so in the drive there is something that will be named Stable Diffusion.
Okay, so
I'm not sure where to find this link.
Oh, okay. No, just open files here.
Yeah.
It's on the corner. And initially, oh no, I can't cancel it. But initially you don't have this background. So what you do is you sort of like just put it here, drop files.
Okay.
Yeah. And once you drop files, you just need to click on it, copy path, and then put it here.
So, okay, so I take the background image I made, we drop it into this drive section, and then click right, copy the URL, boom. Okay.
Copy path, yeah. And then put that path here.
Okay.
So as you can see, the image is sort of moving forward one by one. The girl that was supposed to be here is kind of going away, and the image is sort of moving ahead. It's like you've taken a camera and you're moving in a linear direction in the x-axis. So since I've given a very low width and height, I think this, like, it's going to be very fast. It's going to eventually, like, maybe take, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe to finish this, which normally would take like 1 hour. So because we're going to handle a lot of frames, make sure your resolution is below 500. Yeah. So if you notice in your Google Drive, you will have once you keep it running, you'll see a folder called AI has been created by Stable Diffusion. You click on it, you see Stable Diffusion, you click on that, you see probably today's date and today's month, and you click on that and you see that your folder background AI design has been created by Stable Diffusion. And when you click on that, you'll see all these images that are being generated right now.
When I tried to hit run, I got a error, like traceback name deform anim arg is not defined. Have you ever had that problem?
Could you check if you have clicked everything? Because sometimes if you miss it, it kind of doesn't load that module.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. And if it still gives you that error, then you'll kind of have to do it again. Because if you skip a block, it doesn't just take back like that. You need to sort of click it in a linear way. But just see. I think it should not, but if it does, you might have to do it again. So some kind of like interesting things, because my background was black and pink, it's clearly stuck onto that part of my background, and it's sort of like, you know, interpolating my prompt with those two basic colors. And yeah, just as a backup, I have put already interpolated background in the folder, so that, you know, you don't have to worry. Even if you can't do this right now, there is backup for everything. So I have an animated one already in the folder, so don't have to worry about it. Yeah, there's this one called background animator, so you have one already, just in case if you happen to not do it on time. You can do it after the, you know, Zoom call, when your leisure time, when you have the space, and you can still be with all of us in the same time.
So not to rush anyone else, but mine has finished like generating frames, but I'm
Wow.
scared to hit play on the next block. So should I change anything there before hitting play?
The next
Creating,
one, this one.
yeah, so to create the video from frames, should
Yeah.
I run that? And if I do I need to change anything before I do?
Just uncheck this,
Mm-hmm.
and max frame should be 250 because we entered 250 frames.
Yeah, exciting.
And then you can just like create.
And what? Giving me error.
What does it say?
Oh God, max, like value error, max or good, like argument is an empty sequence.
Okay, it shouldn't be giving that error. Why try unchecking render steps
Okay,
and try it again.
so far so good. Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
it worked. Okay, so no render steps.
no render steps.
What does that do anyway?
So it kind of like basically asks for another variable which we have not defined yet.
Mm,
So yeah,
yeah.
and then it kind of gets confused, but
Right.
this should be good.
Okay, thank you. Nice. My video is very trippy.
I think we should share. We should have a PPT where I should put all this, right?
Yeah, I will share. I mean, I think we can just do it. I will make a folder in the drive I shared before, so we can
Yeah.
all share.
Yeah, definitely put your trippy background because that'll be interesting to watch, like what
Yeah.
your generation has been.
Sure.
I mean, if everybody is finished, then I think I can move on because I have already a generated one. But let me know if you guys have finished. Like if everyone's finished, then I can just stop this because I have one generated already. So my generation basically has like a robot for sure and turning into buildings. I think I can see like a lot of vertical buildings happening. I think I should be done by another 5 minutes. That's it. Okay, so mine's almost over. So it's done. And like I said, make sure none of them are checked. And put max frames to 250, FPS is 12, and click on run. If it doesn't give you the video here, don't get worried because most likely it's there in your Google Drive. Okay, sometimes it doesn't give you the video directly on Stable Diffusion, but if you go to the folder which has all your images, you'll see that the video has been generated. Okay, so don't worry about that.
Amrita, quick questions from the chat. Also some love and people sharing the results. So if you wanna check them out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And someone saying like mine's still only on 75 of 250 frames, but it's doing sharp changes from scene to scene rather than like more subtle changes. So it's not really continuous. Maybe it's something in the settings, like where would you, what's your expected diagnosis of why it wouldn't be, coherent from frame to frame?
I think, okay, one thing, so if it's not going in a particular direction, you might need to check your x-axis if it's defined. Secondly, if it's not matching to the previous image, most likely this is not at random, it's in something else. It might be in fixed or ether or something like that. Apart from that, I don't know what you mean. Unless until I see the output, I won't be able to like help you.
Yep. So let us know if that works. If you change those two settings, and if not, maybe upload your video or a frame or whatever you have to the drive, so then we can inspect it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, I don't mind it. I like it. It's just hers looks like very smooth and my styles are changing, but I think it's because I added like an extra animation prompt at like a 60. Maybe that might be why.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and also if you're I don't know, Amrita, what your experience is with that, but if you have, say, an animation prompted like 0 and then 60 and then 250, it will like some parts of the video will change very fast, right? Because like 0 to 60 then has 2, and then 60 to 25 will take like much longer. So then it won't have the same sort of like rhythm to it, which again, yeah, doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's true. So I have this ready. Wait, so let me see what you guys have come up with.
Yeah, there's some sharing in the drive. You can take a look.
Okay, I see an image. Oh, okay. So yours is going from this to this. Yeah, that is very weird. I think you need to check your strength, and definitely I think this is fixed, because fixed usually gives a very weird result. So just see if your seed behavior is fixed or random. Because fixed becomes weird and weird, it starts dissipating and then it becomes a pixel. So just make sure it's at random.
It is on random.
Yeah.
Could it be because some of the prompts I put are actually not linked to what's on the original image? So it doesn't quite know what to transform things into?
Probably. And what was your strength? 0.7?
Nice. Can you remind me where do I find the strength again?
Oh, here.
Uh, 0.7 as well.
Okay, maybe it's not much related to the prompt and sort of like your prompt took over.
Yeah.
So if you don't, so what you need to do is, if you don't like that, you can always increase your strength so that it gets more original to the image.
Okay, so I will get closer to 1.
Yeah. No, don't put 1. 1 will just be exactly the image.
Yeah, but closer to it. Okay.
Closer to 1. Yeah.
Well, for the purpose of the exercise, I will keep it like this. It's quite fun. But okay, noted. Thanks.
Okay. So I think next we should definitely move to the assets. So let's me. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I think I just clicked the Zoom link by mistake. This is too many tabs. Can you just give me the co-host sharing?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Should be there now.
Okay. Yeah, so like I was saying, let's move to asset generation now, because so anyway, if your model has been loaded, it's pretty much the same for asset as well. Just make sure you delete this because you don't want to get confused. And I'm going to take an asset, probably maybe something from here. I think I'm going to go with this go sign as an asset. So I'm going to put that in the folder. Just a minute. Yeah. Okay. The stop sign will go here. So this is a 16:9 for me, the ratio. So I'm going to do exactly what how I would want to sort of make it. So for asset, I think what we can do is make into 150 frames. Don't need to be 250. And put your translation as 0, because we don't want the asset going anywhere. We don't want the asset to go in a direction. we're going to make the asset static and sort of like create within the same fixed position. We're going to start like, sort of creating different kinds of variation. So this will be 0 and max frame will be 150. So these are the two changes for sure. And then you go down here. And for asset creation, I think I'm just going to stick to one prompt. So the asset I put was a go stop sign. And I'm just going to describe the asset the way it is, because I want the asset not to go too crazy like the background, because I need to key the asset out. Like when I'm putting in runway, I need to take separate that from the white, right? So I need to make sure that the asset stays true to as true as possible to the original image. So I'm just going to write exactly as I see it, a go stop sign or something like that, a go stop sign. And yeah, Dan Mumford art style, or you can just like stick to, you don't need an artist here, you just have to like stick to the original image. And make sure you run the animation, and then you run the prompt. So -16 is to 9. I'm going to reduce it much more. So I'm going to, let me just calculate. Okay, so I have 300 and 553, which is pretty decent. And the rest of it is pretty much similar. Change the batch name because you don't want it to be in the same folder as your background. So maybe you can write asset, AI design. Rest of it is same. Strength, I'm going to put it to 9 for this one because I want, like I said, I want it to be as close to the asset as possible. I don't want it to go crazy, like too much crazy. So I'm going to put it to 0.9. And make sure you change the background image, because now that I've deleted it, it doesn't have it anymore. So you need to put the new init image, which is the stop sign. And yeah, we need to run this.
Sorry for make you repeat. What did you change in the animation settings again?
The animation settings. Yeah. So in the animation settings, I just reduced the max frames to 150. And I made the x-axis 0 because we're not moving in any direction. We're kind of like staying in one place. So this will be 0. And the rest, I think, was pretty much the way it was. Just those things like max frame and x-axis 0.
Thank you. Amazing.
Oh, wow. I mean, because you can't really control too much of Stable Diffusion. Sometimes you just have to like just take it the way it is. And while compositing, just see what suits you and then sort of composite together. But for now, let's just keep it like that,
Amrita, should I worry about it being really, like it's going to be really hard to mask out the background?
Yeah, maybe because if it starts dissipating towards the white,
Yeah.
then it'll be difficult to mask it out.
Yeah, it's fully disintegrating. What should I do? I took the pink phone from the assets you shared. I took like the retro pink phone.
Yeah.
My strength is like 0.95, but it's still just fully disintegrating. Should
Okay.
I put like in the prompt, like on a green background or something?
No. Then it'll start putting green background everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, just let it be.
Okay,
Just
cool.
let it be. Yeah. Like even mine is like dissipated at this point. So sometimes it's very difficult to like control it. Sometimes, although some assets do turn out to be really interesting. I'll show it to you later. Like some of the Sakura tree, especially, like it turned out to be very cool and interesting. So we'll definitely like look into that. Yeah. I think once this is stopped, we'll just hop on to Runway because we don't have too much time. We will work with the background and the asset. And then I've already have an animated road. So you can just take that and we can like put 4 of them together. When you have time, you can obviously animate the road, just like how you did the background. It's the same technique, but make sure that the road also stays consistent to the road. So you need to kind of put your strength at 0.9. That's the only thing. And yeah, so we'll just hop on to Runway right now. Yeah, at this point, the stop sign is not even recognizable. It's just like some bacteria or something, but it's just fine. Just take it and let's see what we can do. Also, if you would like to have more control, then I suggest that maybe you should look into ControlNet, an automatic 1111, because I think that through those modules, you'll be able to control the output much better. So I think, for example, the stop sign can be a stop sign for a very long period of time without getting dissipated. So if you really would like to take the step further, then definitely like Google ControlNet and see how you can use it. It's very easy. So just to keep, the asset very close to the origin. So I think I'm going to like stop it because 130 is good enough for me. So I'm just going to stop the integration and I'm just going to convert that into a video. Yeah. So something like this, which is okay. Let's see what we can do and download this. So the next step would be getting onto Runway. I hope you all are on the same page, but don't worry if you're not able to create the asset or the background in time, because I do have backup for all of them. So I have put it in the nice. Oh, this is amazing. It's almost like a kaleidoscope. Yeah, so the characters are here. The background, there is a dummy background here if you need it. And there is also an animated road, which I think you can download it because we need a road right now. And we'll all just hop on to Runway. So for Runway, we have, you can use the free trial in Runway. The only thing is that you're allowed to use only 3 projects in Runway while using it, but that's all we need. So if you click on Runway and if you have a free account, just hop into this place called projects. And this is already an Runway project, which we don't need. So just delete that. We don't need it, right? So create a first project. It's a video composition. Okay. So we have this space right now, which is like 1920 and 1080. So it's 16:9. So what we're going to do is we're going to reverse this. So we're going to make it into more vertical for Instagram and things like that. So we're going to take a vertical one, which is 1080 and 1920. Okay, so now it's become a very Instagram kind of a feeling. And this is the timeline right here. We don't have a media right now, but we'll get a media soon. And so first thing we do is we drop the background that we have onto upload asset. Okay, so now that it's downloaded, just drag it and drop it on the timeline. So you have this, and sometimes it doesn't match to your aspect ratio, but that's okay. Just like make it bigger, right? So that the object is right here. And then this this purple button play is, you can just check if it's working fine. It should. So you have more than 20 seconds video, which is good. And then now we're going to take a person walking. So for that, you can just download the one from the starter kit. Any live action that you prefer. I'm going to take I'm going to take this dude, the Walkman dude. Okay, so now this dude is here. I'm going to put it onto the timeline again. And you have something like this. And now you can just enlarge it so that he also comes somewhat towards the center. Okay, so I know that you guys are doing at the same time, but right now I think just listen to this and then you can, start doing it, because once I finish talking about it, then you have enough time to do it. But these things are kind of important. So the first thing you need to do is key him out. So what you do is you click on this magic tool. So there is AI magic tools at the side. There is something called green screen. So you click on that and you get into the video of the dude walking, and it says click on an area to start masking. So the idea here is to select probably whatever the dude is. So it basically he has black, the skin color white, and the blue headphone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put points here, which I think symbolizes color, because the color is very obvious. And the AI kind of does it for you. So the AI sort of like understands, because this video is a good video. Okay, it kind of like separates the foreground from the background very easily because of the high fidelity camera. So it's easy for the AI to understand. And sometimes it can enter an area that you don't like. So what you do is you kind of zoom into that area, click on pan. It's basically to move the image. It's like a hand. And you see that, oh, okay, this is a shadow. I don't think this is supposed to be there. So what you do is there's something called exclude. So the green is include, red is to exclude. So you start off excluding what you don't want. Like, okay, I don't want this to. Yeah. So now, because I said that, okay, this is a shadow, AI, this is a shadow, please do not include this. And then include the rest. As you can see, it has been included. And you just click on, wait, let me just zoom out. And increase, just toggle this to see how much has been masked. It's pretty good because I think he's completely been taken the mask out. and click on preview to see if this is working. And it seems to be working so well. There is no areas in which there is an overlap. Okay, so you're happy with your result. Then you click on done masking. And now you have this guy on top of your AI generation, and you click on play. So you can see that because he's moving with a moving camera, right? So obviously he's going to go a little off center, but that's fixable. Don't worry about it. So you see that, okay, he is going a bit off center and then he is kind of coming back to the center, right? So this is what's happening. So what you do is there is something called animate. You click on the video that you want to sort of animate in, because I want the guy to stay in the center, right? So you click on animate and you see position and click on this little timer thing which marks a position of your object. So when you click on this, it's kind of taken that position of the object, and then you see you play. By the way, spacebar is play. Okay, just a quick tip. You play this and you see that, oh, okay, in 5 seconds he's going really far, and then he's coming back. So maybe around here he goes the farthest. And then you see this transform area where you can control the position, size, rotation. But right now, since the position is on, you can toggle the position. So this is adjust X position of the layer. So what you do is you sort of like click on it and drag to see, okay, this is where I want the guy to be. And you can see that, okay, he's still going ahead a bit, maybe. It's still interpolating. But when you click on play, you can see that he's not changing much. He's still in the center. And he's going back because, of the change in position. So what you do is towards the end of the clip, you bring him back to his original position. Okay. So you have this kind of, it's so much better. He's in one position and he's moving. Maybe we can bring this here so that it's easier. There is no hard and fast rule. It's a lot of experimentation. Once you figure out this by yourself, you can see that it's easy. It's not that difficult. Maybe a bit here. Yeah. So I can keep tinkering how much ever I want. So that's how it works. And okay, I'm kind of happy with this. He is kind of in the center. He's not that outside the thing. And so this is something we will definitely do. And so would you guys like to do it till here? And should I go to the next? Or should I just complete it?
I think it would be most helpful to see the whole process, and then we can always come back and like make it perfect later.
Okay. Cool. So you have your object and your background. And so in case if you're not happy with the way the background is moving, maybe you want the background to move a little less slower. So there is something called speed. So if you reduce the speed, it'll be slower. If you make it faster, so the backgrounds will move faster. I'm going to tweak it up a bit. I'm going to put maybe 1.2 just to check whether it's better. I kind of like it. It looks similar to the pace of the dude when he's walking. And yeah, this is good. So now we have the object, we have the background. Now we need an asset. But before asset, we need a road. But road has already been done in Stable Diffusion. So I'm just going to take the one that's already on the folder. And I'm going to upload it. Yeah, so this is the road that is there inside the folder as well. And so I placed it on top of him. So that's why, you know, this is how you layer. So whatever is on top of this will be the first thing on the foreground. So what you need to do is click on this and say insert track above and put this, drag this guy on top. Okay. And you have this, maybe put the road a bit down, go to green screen and select what you want to green screen. Yeah, and increase the transparency, play, just to see whether it's kind of got it all. It has, it's captured most of it, which is good for us. Sometimes it doesn't, so you have to like stop at a certain keyframe. Yeah, like I was just saying that. So as you can see here, I think, yeah, it suddenly became white, right? Because it didn't understand what it needs to do, especially maybe here. Just, yeah. So in this case, you need to just, so exclude this part at this keyframe. You're like, okay, no, this is white. This is white. Oh no, it's taken everything. It gets a little difficult for 2D animated things because it doesn't really understand what is the background and what is the foreground. As in terms of live action, it's easier to sort of do it in live action. Yeah, it's not taking it. So I'm just going to get rid of the key. And I think this is much better than what it was. You can always like stop at points that you don't like and edit it out and things like that. But it's probably just taken as much as it can. So let's just leave it at that and click on done masking. Yeah. So now that you have this, maybe place the guy on top of the road. Yeah, I think maybe it's a little too slow, the road. Or let me just increase it. Yeah, much better. It's okay if your road is getting over before the guy. What you can do is basically duplicate and sort of like connect it where it ends. So you have like a continuous seamless road. And sometimes what people do is they go to opacity here, click on animate and go to opacity, click on that keyframe, right? And then go to the end of the timeline and make your opacity 0. Okay. Back to timeline So it's sort of like, yeah, it blends into the second one. So you won't see the difference because you reduce your opacity from 100 to 0. So you have this nice road, the man, and the generated frames. And last but not the least, we'll have one asset so that we've generated. So this is going to be a tough one because it's gone completely like white and bizarre and weird. So we're going to try making the best that we can out of this. So first thing we do is reduce the size, place it however you want to place it, maybe on the side. Go to green screen, select what you want. Okay. It's going to take some time because generally in free trial, it's a bit slow. Okay. Now increase transparency. See how much is happening. Yeah, after a while, because it went black completely, it sort of like took it over. So maybe from here, I think I can redefine this again. I'll start including the black at this point, maybe a little bit of this. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, maybe a little bit of that as well. Oh, this is white. Okay. Okay. And so at now, let's see. Again, so at different points, you can definitely like redefine your masking, how you want to mask it. Yeah, maybe from here, I want something else. Or maybe let me just see if I can include more things. I think I'm going to start including these weird things. Yeah, I'm going to start including these things. So I'm going to just include all of these things. Yeah, and see if this works. I think overall, yeah, okay. Let me just see. And click on done masking. So at every point you can redefine your mask. Okay, it's not a, it doesn't have to be like once you define it, it's not like the ultimate. You can always keep changing. So at this point, maybe he walks something after the girl goes, I want the stop sign to come. So I'll place it at the place where I want the stop sign to come. But it doesn't just pop up like that, right? So it needs to come from this, this side, and it needs to disappear to this side. So what I'm going to do is adjust the position in the x-axis and completely like maybe have a little bit this side, so it kind of like pops in there, right? And go to animate, click on position, and then after a while, maybe somewhere around 5 seconds, because he is walking a little faster, I would want this thing to drag it outside, click and drag outside just a bit. Okay, let's see how this works. Yeah, it's too fast. So what you need to do is sort of drag it a little bit more maybe. And it's too slow. So kind of like find the perfect balance is what I would say. It is a bit too slow again. Okay. It's not bad. So what we do is, since it's above him, let's try to put it below and see how the final thing looks. I think it can be a bit faster maybe. Okay. Yeah. So now we have like different things with different colors and different sort of, you know, look and feel to it. Now, how do we put all of them under the same color correction? Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit more time of this workshop. I hope that's okay. Because this is kind of like the last minute finishing touches. And I think that at this point, if I don't explain the finishing touches, it's just going to look raw because it's kind of important. So I have a background which I'm okay with, like it's like black and red. Okay, so I get what I want. And then the road over here is green. So maybe I would like to change the road and sort of make it a part of the background, or maybe aesthetically I want to pull it out of the background or something. So what you do is Runway has this amazing effects and filters features. You can just click on this and go to, it has a lot of things. It has camera, color, lighting, style. Please feel free to explore all of them because they are pretty good. So you can just click on color, and you can see that when you like hover on top of it, you get these amazing colors sort of like popping over it. Okay, this is interesting. I'm just gonna, apparently the filter is called Grand Budapest. And let me see, it's not bad. So you can obviously like look at other things. I'm just going to like browse a little bit more at the color. Okay, this is interesting. So because I had an opacity filter, it just like, you know, slowly blended to green. And it's kind of nice. I think maybe I will change this one as well to something like, yeah, I think I'll put this. So slowly transforming to, yeah, something like that. And then you have the guy, of course, he's shot in a different lighting and in a different setup. So let's try putting some filters on him as well. So let's go to maybe colors again and sort of like hover and see what, okay, this is nice. So see what you like, right? So you can see that he doesn't stand out too much, maybe a little bit, you know. So there are some really interesting things for sure. Or maybe he'll just be black and white and the rest of it is color. You know, you can really like do whatever you feel like. This is the best part about it. I think I like the original one, maybe like the green one. Where's the green one? Yeah. This weird green thing. Yeah, okay. So sort of like it's looking weird. And I can try putting the stop sign, you know, like the stop sign is sort of standing outside the road. So let me put behind the road. So what you do is insert track below and just move that here. Okay. Now, as for the stop sign, there are some interesting other things as well. If you guys have seen like Photoshop, there are different kind of blend mode that's available. Even Runway has the same. And sometimes it's interesting to work on blend mode because it just blends with the background. So if I have something that I like, for example, okay, this is not bad. Let me see. So it can be something that's very, very bizarre, right? So you can have something like, you can even have effects on top of that with the blend mode. Exclusion. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, so you can see like there is some kind of weird, like the colors are sort of like starting to make sense together. It kind of starts to look like, you know, it's part of the same background and things like that. And it's sort of making sense. So definitely like explore blend mode, explore effects and filters and things like that, because it's so much easier to sort of put them all together. And you can see that, oh, okay, this guy is hanging around. So let me just get rid of that. So the best thing to do is to like get it out completely. Yeah. Back to a timeline. Let's see how much we can do it. Okay. Yep, I kind of like where this is going, and it's still like hanging. Okay, maybe here is where the guy stops, right? So let's all reduce all the footages till there, because that's where the guy stops like coming. So maybe you can all just like put it all in one thing and have like a video. Yeah. Now it looks like an AI generated sort of a weird feel, right? So this, and definitely like explore some of these things. I really want to mention is like there are some interesting things called style, where, you know, there are some ASCII keys, which is very interesting. It looks like he's a walking data or something. So when I tried this once, I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. It's like data all over him. So I think you should just go wild and see what you like and things like that, you know. But for now, I think this is good. And what you need to do next is click on export. Because it's a free trial, you'll get only one option, which is 720p format, MP4. I don't know, make something like AI Gen A or something, make your own brand, and then export your video. And then you'll have this video ready in your timeline. You just need to go back to your projects. Your video should be here somewhere. Generate videos? No, I think it should be at the project assets, I think. 1 minute, let me see. Yeah, assets. Okay. So it's still exporting. Once it's 100% exported, you get your video and you can have fun. You can just share and things like that. So I'll be hanging around for another 10-15 minutes. You guys can do this, obviously. And if you get stuck, just let me know. Yeah.
Thank you, Amrita. I'm still dragging things around my timeline and clicking around the green screen like maniac, but I will export it a bit. Let's like do just a official wrap, and then yeah, whoever wants to stick around or ask for support or share whatever can stay. Are there any questions now? We're like, I see we've definitely like become a smaller group. But those that are still here, shout out to you for sticking with the process. If anyone has questions or just thoughts or wants to unmute and say something, feel free to do so. I'll give that a minute, and otherwise we'll wrap.
Hey, it was amazing. Thank you so much. It was hard to follow sometimes, but I can't wait to just get my head into and just like take things out, change the parameter. Yeah, a lot of fun. Thank you. And yeah, we'll be sharing the very friendly outcome. Unexpected, let's say. Yeah, thank you so much for Nadia and Amrita. It was so good.
Thanks for joining, and yeah, I'd love to see what came out of it.
Thank you so much for joining. Yeah. It's
Okay.
a bit tight. I know, like it's a lot of things at the same time, but you can always like refer to this video again in YouTube, and it's like, and now that there's information, you can always access it. So